Good morning, everybody.
Good morning, Rob.
How's everybody doing?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning, Rob.
Morning.
All right, let's get this show on the road. So today's mission or today's session is born by my experiences of how do we talk to our sphere and our clients without being salesy. And I probably have held off on having this conversation because I respect everybody on this call tremendously. But when I look at how we communicate, there's so many great ideas that can be shared with the group that I feel like, for some of you, 80% of this is going to be yawning, but you're going to have 20% of aha moments where I think you should take notes down. And I would like to have some feedback into, how you're conducting these conversations so that we can collectively work with the clients that we enjoy to work with, the ones that know us and trust us, instead of, chasing an exorbitant amount of internet leads. Does that make sense? Come on, give me a hell yeah.
Oh yeah.
All right.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Hell
to the
yeah.
yeah.
Fantastic. So here's a couple of things that I know from just recent activities. Number one is we have a lot of interactions every day, and I don't think we put thought into how do we build relationships with just living our lives. Okay. And an example is for those of us down here in Virginia Beach, yesterday morning I was at the hotel reception down here, and I talked to the person behind the counter, and I was like, so, you open all year round, what's the occupancy like? And I said, do you own a house? Like, no, I don't. I'm like, do you have any ideas about buying a house? Like, I've been trying for 2 years. I got his name, email, phone number, and gave it to one of our associates from a lottery here. We put it into a hat and picked it. And I'm thinking that if we just opened our mouth instead of waiting for people to reach out to us by the name tag, the Wawa example of getting a listing from the cashier at Wawa, to actually going out and asking people, hey, Dan, do you own a house? Would you like to own a house? Do you own an investment property? Getting comfortable with that conversation. I've never had an awkward conversation when I've done that. And I just wanted to share that with everybody because I don't feel like I'm a salesperson. I feel like at the end of the day, when I was walking away from the front desk, he's like, hey, when you're going to give me a call? I just want to know when I can expect your call. It wasn't like, I'm a solicitation. It's like he was anxious to hear back from us on how we could become a homeowner. And I think that we're missing that. At least I suspect some of us are missing that opportunity by not playing offense and just waiting for people to see our name tag and say, oh, you're in real estate. Does that make sense, Dan? I see you in my right eye. Dan Gagnon. Are you there?
First, that person instantly felt like you were adding value and you weren't selling, you were sharing how you could help. And that's a big difference, how somebody interprets you immediately off the bat.
Yeah. I mean, David, think about all the interactions we have in a day, right? And how many opportunities we miss by just not having a conversation.
Well, apparently, Alex had a great conversation last night. And Alex, are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm here.
Why don't you mention the little interaction you had with the stranger last night on your way home from our event?
So crazy story, guys. We went to network yesterday with David in Tampa, and driving back home, I dropped him off. I was in a great mood, and I guess I was going a little over the speed limit that I was supposed to. A police officer stopped me. To make a long story short, he's also a Remax agent in the Palm office here on the West Coast. We ended up talking till almost 2:30 in the morning about real estate, about life, about how he moved from Miami to Northport, about everything. He's so excited. He's going something personal through life like David is going. So we've connected on such a amazing level over, a stop for me going over the speed limit. But he was a human, and I approached him as a human, like I approached all of my clients, in a very respectful way. That's why he reciprocated, and we started talking more as friends than like as a cop and somebody that he pulled over. So it was a very interesting experience.
And
If
now
you-
he wants to do what?
Well, he wants to join the Remax Select group, and he's very excited about the Howler group. So we're gonna take him
That's
out
fine.
for a cup of coffee today, and we're gonna see what we can bring. But he was very excited. He's been doing this for 3 years, but the last brokerage that he was with, he could not be a listing agent. The broker told him, "Hey, you can be a buyer's agent, but you cannot do any listings." He blocked him from MLS. So he was telling me some horror stories, but yeah, this was over nothing, and we were very excited to get that kind of reaction.
That's awesome.
Alex,
Great story.
Alex, good thing you weren't at EXP or KW. We probably would have wrote you up.
Yeah, he got off with the
Yeah,
warning.
I got the warning. He goes, "You're on my body cam, so I have to give you a warning."
Gotcha. Well, I mean, that's over the top there, Alex. I'm very impressed with that. But think about, how when we have those interactions with people, how impactful it can be if we could just have those conversations. Because here's some of the numbers. I'm like a numbers person. On average, 35 conversations equals an appointment. Okay. So, don't come to me next week and say I spoke to 36 people. I didn't get one, because maybe your 68th person and your 70th person might be those two. It's like an average number. But over time, if you have effective communication skills, if you talk to enough people, you will get business. Does anybody know the story of Quintavious? David, you
Yeah,
do, right?
pretty spectacular guy in our Remax family. I mean, I think he's what is he? Not even 30 years old. He owns over 50 properties and one of the fastest to get to diamond in our industry.
And he would bag groceries
Football.
he would bag groceries to have conversations for free and take it out to their car.
He's a perfect example for this call and where you're going with this in your direction and your thought, because he has no fear, and he'll talk to anybody and turn them into a client, and then he'll do a video, and then the video will get another client, and it's amazing how that snowball effect happens.
So I think the fear, and David, maybe you can just share with me your thoughts on this, but I think maybe it's not really fear. Maybe we just feel like we're going to be annoying people when we have these conversations, right? I don't think anybody's afraid of doing it. Maybe they're just uncomfortable feeling that they're going to annoy somebody when they keep talking about real estate.
It's all the approach. I think it's all how you go into it. I think a lot of people in their head as agents, they get so used to, they have a couple different ways they approach a few different types of personalities, and they just have that line in their head that their elevator pitch or how they're gonna present themselves. And I think if you look at every person and you just let yourself be organic in the moment and let the conversation flow the way it should, and you mirror, what that guy or girl is giving you, you're going to see a lot better results. A lot of us come off as salesy, pushy, in your face. I'm this is the way that I've done it forever. If people could just be human and just do it, in an organic way, and you build that more of a friendship, like Alex just started talking to that guy, and now all of a sudden he wants to move to a different brokerage, and maybe we have an opportunity for him. That's how you attract versus sell. And then that's, for me, how I've always won, is giving that kind of interaction versus that push and that sell,
And David, I think like home ownership is part of the identity. Right now I'm in Virginia Beach, so if you have any referrals, we have a new office in Virginia Beach. But in Virginia Beach, we're right next to Norfolk. There's a bunch of military installations here, and people identify themselves as active military, retired military family. Right? Those are things that people use to identify themselves. Other ways we identify ourselves is, we're a brother, a parent, a good son, we're a homeowner. Those are things that people identify with. Okay. And like homeowner is a pretty big self-identifying component to somebody's life. Like being a homeowner changes your life, right?
Absolutely.
So there are a lot of people who just need somebody who can show them the way with integrity. And by having those conversations, it's better than having 5,000 Facebook leads that don't want to hear from us, right? That give us bad numbers, that don't answer their phone. You're just talking to people in your everyday life is step one. Step two is our sphere. And as I'm doing the business planning with a lot of our team members, agents, team leaders, everybody, I think we do a pretty good job at capturing the people that are our clients that we worked with in the past and people that are in our sphere. But what I think we missed the boat on is if you were to look at, an average sphere of influence, or, a good point of reference is look in your phone, how many contacts do you have? Does anybody want to look in your phone and just, tell me how many contacts you have? And I'll wait for at least one or two. And then I want to kind of share with you where I see a tremendous opportunity that I think a lot of people are missing. Anybody looking? I have-
800,
How many?
850.
850?
2,360.
2,360?
I have 811.
1,300, 811,
1459.
1,359. Okay, so
1459.
1,459. So from my research, the average person has 600 contacts. That 600 people that when they call them would recognize them. They're probably in their phone list and they have a name so that when the phone rings, they know who they are. And we're in sales, so I would expect that we do have a lot more. Okay. But if the average person has 600 and we have, let's say we have 600 people that are, we might have a lot of vendors and industry people that are probably not dependable to give us the business, but we have at least 600 of those. Now, if those 600 people all have 600, that's a massive number. What's that? 36,000 people. And if 5% of them are doing a real estate transaction, right? 36,000. So that's 1,800 potential transactions that are first generation of our database. Like if everybody that was in our database knew somebody, I want us to get referred when, my contact's next door neighbor is looking to do something, when their nephew is looking to buy a house, when their best friend is looking to sell their house. I want to have those referrals coming in. Okay, does that make sense? Right? I know the people that are in our sphere, we can see if they move without us, and that hurts. But we can't see the people that they know, their best friends that move. Okay. That's what I'm talking about, is the extra opportunity. So when you're talking to those people and you have the conversation, hey, David, can you think of 2 people that are looking to buy, sell, or rent in the next 6 months? I might be able to help. If I said that to you, David, you might think, let me think 2 people, right? As opposed to, hey, David, of course, if you know anybody looking to buy, sell, or rent, please give them my number. That doesn't generally work out so well.
For sure.
Right. And
Sure.
when I was talking to somebody over here, and let's just say somebody knows another person that's looking to buy, sell, or rent, right? The old-fashioned way is to take your business card and pass it along. So I give it to my sphere, my client, who I bought or sold a house with. They're ecstatic, like most of our clients are. They pass that card along to their next door neighbor, right? And I see Lisa Malservici. I see you in my my vision here. When people pass out your card, if they give out 10 of them to their neighbors that are looking to transact, how many calls do you think you actually get?
Out of 10 cards?
Yeah, if they give out 10 cards and they say, hey, Lisa's my agent, she's awesome, give her a call.
I would hope at least one, maybe
At
2.
least- I'm thinking everybody's saying probably 1, right? Now, how about if we educated our clients, Lisa, to say, you know what, Lisa, it was such an honor to work with you. If you know anybody that I could serve, rather than just giving them my card, could you do me a favor and do a text introduction to them? Say, hey, Mary, I wanted to introduce you to my agent, Lisa. She helped me and my daughter buy both of our houses. I hope you have the same experience. Wow, right? You have 10 out of 10, right? And if
That
they
would
don't,
be,
and
yes.
And if they don't call you, what are you going to do, Lisa?
I'm gonna call them.
Correct. Now, is there anyone that would be that would find it awkward to ask their client to do that?
No, I think that's a great idea.
Right? Because when I was in the lending business, okay, agents would say, you know, Rob did a great job. He, you know, always gets back to you. He'll tell you exactly what you can do, give the card out. And maybe they intend to call, but they never do, right? But if my agent would give the card out to her client and then say, Lisa, here's Rob's card. When's the best time for him to give you a call? You know, anytime between 4:30 and 7, because I put, you know, whatever the reason is, they would have a time and I would call them between that time. And that was absolute game changer. So if we can just educate our clients, our raving fans, to do that little pivot, I think that's going to make a huge difference. Does
Yes.
anyone feel uncomfortable having that conversation with their client?
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
So the whole Brian Buffini system is based on, you know, and so it's always, by the way, if you know anyone we can help, buy or sell a home, getting the people to get you their phone numbers, what I learned is the most successful. Hey, just ask them if it's okay if I call them. So you get permission via the client. And that's the way that I pretty much built my business, similar to the Feeney referral system, you know, and then Popeyes and all the other things that we do to keep in touch with our people, right? You think it's 100%, but it's not. You know, people are kind of weird, they feel uncomfortable, but you can find the people who are willing to do it and will do it on a regular basis for everybody that they know. You
Right.
know, and I have clients.
And Jay, nothing's 100%, right?
Right.
So, but if you go from 1 out of 10 maybe to 6 out of 10, that's a big change.
Well, for, you know, small independent business person, that's 6 times, right? You multiplied your business 6 times, right? Which is huge.
Yes. It's massive. And then, you know, I've been, you know, out for coffee or out to lunch with, you know, your peers, and, you know, some of our agents are excellent at, you know, talking to the server, the manager, asking if they know anyone that we could help, right? And, you know, if you do that enough times, you're going to find some business, right? And there's a way that you can do that in your own comfort zone where you don't feel like you're a desperate salesperson, where you feel like you're conveying value, right? And my job is here to push you to make some small changes that have big differences, right? And if you do that all the time, that could be 6 extra transactions in a year just by, you know, talking to people in your everyday life. You know, does your dentist, does your dry cleaner, does your doctor, you know, does your cleaning person, your auto mechanic, your favorite restaurant owner, do they all know that you're in real estate, and are they giving you business as you're patronizing them, right? It's
I think a lot of people think that the places they go, those owners and those managers and those servers, I think we all believe that they know what we do because we've told them, but you have to continue to remind people over and over, because an hour later, if somebody mentions real estate, they should be thinking about you. But they're like, I know a guy, but I forgot the guy's name, or I know this team. So it's a constant reminder. It's so important.
Has anybody ever had this happen, right? Because maybe people, I mean, I think they understand, but maybe they don't. They'll say, hey, you know, David, you know, great news. You know, my daughter bought a house with Bill over at Remax, blah, 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 right? Do you ever have that?
Absolutely, all the time. And you're just like, what did I do, and how did I drop the ball, and how can I fix it?
Right, but you know, even the fact that they went with, you know, another Remax franchise, or even somebody else in your office, doesn't help you necessarily, right? And I'm not saying that we're, you know, looking to edge out our peers in our office, but you know, it's a personal business, right?
That's why it's so important, the touches that we make and how we stay in touch. And you know, there's so many programs and CRMs. I mean, if people had reminders to just reach out and say hi, hello, how are you, to their sphere and to their network and to these people you're mentioning, it's a game changer. Because sometimes the difference of an extra 5 or 6 listings or 5 or 6 buyers in a year is what you're saying, just reaching out and making sure these people remember who you are and how you can help them.
Yep. Is Justin or Edward, are either you on today's call?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, is that Justin?
Yep, just Justin. Yeah, and I believe Edward's on here too, I believe.
Fantastic. Well, welcome our new family members here in Virginia Beach. So Justin, what did you think about how difficult or easy it was to get a phone number yesterday?
You know, there was a couple times where I did not take the initiative to go and ask for that phone number, and you went ahead and got it, and I was like, oh, it's just that easy. Just gotta simply ask sometimes. And I like the way you kind of like worded it. There was one that they were getting into their car, and the way you mentioned that, well, when you do call, what number should I expect what number would that be that you're going to call me on? And they gave you the phone number, and I was kind of blown away by that.
Yeah, so somebody's getting in their car right before they close the door.
In Westfield, Justin, we call him the lead whisperer because it's kind of annoying how easy it is for him. Just so you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
So the person's getting in the car with his partner, significant other, and hey, we're trying to introduce ourselves, right? The door is almost closed, right? Both figuratively and literally on us, right?
Yeah.
Give me a card, I'll reach out to you, right? I know that good chance we're never going to hear from that person given the card, right? So I say, you know, what's your first name? What's the best number to reach you at, Dominic? Or no, I say, when you call, what number should I expect it coming in from? And he gives me his number, right?
Yep.
And then here's something that everybody should write down, and I mean everybody. If you're talking to somebody, you're in the restaurant, you're talking to the person at the hotel counter, you're at the line in ShopRite or Publix, whatever, and you're having a little conversation, you want to capture their phone number. How do you ask for that? Somebody who doesn't know from a very recent experience, how would you ask for it? Somebody volunteer and say, hey.
So I would want them to have my Blink card so they could save my full contact in their phone. So I need their phone number so they can save it. Instead of giving them a card, people ask, why do you use that digital card so much? Well, there's a reason. I get their number instantly because I need it for them to have my Blink card. So it's
Dave,
that.
so Dave, you're uber techie. I think most of us don't have a Blink card, so but I like that. I like the idea. So anybody, we can't be shy on this group here. How are we going to get their number?
So you just say, hey, let me give you my card. Let me text it to you so that you have it with you.
Let me text it to you. You know, that could work. I think sometimes people might be a little, you know, oh, just give me your number. You have a card, I'll call you. That's not a bad idea.
You can also tell them you'll give them monthly updates of their neighborhood. And if they would like that, you know, give me your email and try to get their cell phone numbers also.
So I think Ron, a lot of us will say, hey, Ron, can I have your number? Is that not like something that you can see yourself saying?
No, you can't say that.
Why?
I think it's too pushy. I mean, if you got to give them something of value to get something in return. So if you give them something of value, they'll stop and listen to you, or they'll give you what you need.
I think
You got to offer something.
I think a lot of times we've been in a good conversation, and I've been with you, and I learned by failing, just by the way. So I'm not, you know, I wasn't the natural born lead whisperer. I learned from what works and doesn't. But I have a great conversation. Hey, you know, Dave or Ron, can I have your number? And when I say, can I have your number? You can easily say no, right? Because it's can I? And then the answer is no, right? But this is a pivot worth writing down, okay? And the tonality that you ask, I say, Ron, what's the best number to reach at?
Okay.
Yeah, that'll work. But can I have your phone numbers? Phone number is, you know, sometimes they'll come back and say, well, just give me your card and I'll give you a call back.
Right.
But yeah, that approach that you just said sounds better.
So Justin, did that work 100% of the time?
Seems that way.
Edward, right? It worked.
It did.
I you know, and I had people that I didn't think were too engaged, right? And I said, what's the best number to reach at? And they just automatically give it to me.
Yes.
So anyway, I just wanted to give that pivot to you because I think that was a game changer in terms of getting contact information. Okay, what's the best number to reach you at?
That's the best number.
Instead of, can I have your number? Because can I have your number implies I can say no. Can I? No. What's the best number to reach you at? You know, they'd have to think, well, I'd prefer not to give you my number. But they don't do that because their natural reaction is, oh, this is the best number to reach me at. They haven't been, you know, bombarded with that question. So, and then when we call our sphere and our past transactions, our clients, I want to get an idea of how do we communicate with them so that we're both conveying value and uncovering opportunities.
I always start with an apology, Rob.
That Glenn?
Yep.
So you say what? I'm sorry, I haven't called you in a while.
Yep. I have been way delinquent too long. Even if it's a month and a half ago, it works for every single call. And then immediately there's some empathy on the call.
That's fantastic. That's a fantastic way to overcome like the brush off. Anybody else have any suggestions on how you open those calls? Because I think a lot of us have call reluctance because we're not certain about how we're going to manage that call.
Well, the workman system Ford model works really well. We know what Ford means, which is family, occupation, recreation, and dreams, is what I've learned works really, really well to get people chatting, exposing opportunities.
Like even keeping track of, you know, names, milestones, birthdays, house anniversaries, right? I mean, those things, you know, we might think they're a little bit creepy, but people appreciate to be recognized, you know? So, you know, I think those are all important. And I think many of us in the industry, and maybe some of us on this call, don't have vibrant databases where they have all the information to optimize the relationships, right? So that's an opportunity for us all to just, you know, clean up our database. If you made, you know, just 5 calls a day, okay, and even if you took weekends off, you did 25 calls a week, that's like 10,000 plus calls, right? It's going to be 10,000 calls a year, and that's going to be a game changer. It's going to be a real game changer because the people who know, like, and trust us are going to constantly be reminded that we're in the business top of mind. You know, we're going to change the way that we accept referral business, right? You know, hey, you know, do you mind, Glenn, do you mind, you know, sending a text introduction whenever you give my card out? It would mean the world to me, right? And when you have a great experience, and I don't know, Carmen or Eric Funk, welcome back, Eric. When you have a great experience, don't you want to go out of your way to tell everybody about it?
Yes.
Right? So you want to go out of your way. So doing a text intro, they're probably going to even overdo it and say, you know, I was looking for 2 years before I met Eric and Jack, and we were in our house within 90 days of starting with them. They're unbelievable. If you give them a call, I'm glad to introduce you. Like, you'll find these crazy introductions from people that are your raving fans that just, you're like, wow, how did I miss that? For years, they've just been giving my card out, and I've been getting, you know, maybe 15-20% of the people actually call me. But then again, they don't even have that reference. And they probably, if they don't call you immediately, they probably forget how they got your card. Right? I've gotten calls where, oh yeah, I have your card, I forgot who gave it to me. Anybody ever have those calls? Right? It's not much better than a cold lead. So, you know, homework is to come up with a strategy. And I hate the word script because script sounds so impersonal, but come up with a communication strategy for, you know, talking to the people that are in your sphere of influence and the people who've transacted with you, who are our clients, right? Let's find a way to tap into the people that have had those experiences, and perhaps looking at the way that we're going to grow our business in the future, let's just try to up our game just a little bit to make that experience, instead of, you know, so-and-so did a great job, say so-and-so was amazing, right? It only takes a little bit of extra work to make that experience amazing and, you know, overly referable, right? You know, I don't know what you can do to, you know, take that from a, maybe a Hyatt experience to a Four Seasons experience, right? To a St. Regis experience, right? So, you know, staying at the Hyatt's not a bad experience, but I imagine if you're a regular at the St. Regis or the Four Seasons, you know, the Hyatt's a little bit disappointing. And that's the difference I'm talking about, is to, you know, elevate your game to the top 1% of 1%, so that people want to tell everybody about what that experience was, right? And I know we all do a great job. We all do a lot of fantastic things, but maybe there's something just a little bit extra that we can do to elevate that referral business, right? To make that experience unforgettable.
And Rob, over time, people they forget how they felt. So when you're talking to them, you need to remind them of that, right? So I'll people who I've met, I'll be like, remember that time when I was in the front yard digging the lid off your septic, and you started off like just a reminisce, but then that brings them back to that feeling again.
Yeah. And even saying like, you know what, I can't tell you how proud I was, you know, when we finally got to the closing table and I saw you and your family move into the house.
Yep.
Right. I mean, don't you feel good about that?
Yep.
And Len, you've had a lot of transactions. You probably don't remember, you know, as a matter of fact, I'm certain you don't remember to the nearest $100, maybe not even to the nearest $1,000, how much money you made off a transaction. But you probably do remember the expression on the kid's face when they walked into their own bedroom for the first time, or when the family buys their first house, right?
100%. I couldn't tell you how much in commissions I made on any deal.
Correct. So these are things that, you know, I just want to, I want to take them out of your subconscious mind, and I want to put them out there so that, you know, we remind our clients of the experience and what we did, because we deserve that. Okay. And as they're more conscious, they're going to be more likely to refer. Another thing is, during the transaction, there's a tremendous opportunity to get more business. Is there anyone that has, like during the process from when they went under contract till the day that they closed, somebody's given them 2 or 3 referrals because they have real estate on their mind, and whenever they hear the word real estate, they're jumping over the table to give your card? Is there anyone that can on it, and don't say so if it's not true, but is there anyone that can say, you know, I remember, you know, Alan Case, and every time he saw somebody that said the word real estate, he was, you know, giving them my card, doing a text intro, calling me and following up to see if they spoke to me? Because I've had clients in the lending business where if they gave me a referral, you know, Alan would call and see if they actually called me, like he was my paid assistant. That's what we want. Has anybody else had that experience where, you know, Lynn, maybe one of your past clients, Lynn Schmitz, maybe one of your past clients gave your name out, right? And then they see that person at the clubhouse. Hey, did you ever give Lynn a call? Oh, you haven't? Oh, I'm going to text Lynn. Lynn, you know, Mary never called you.
I have my phone mute. I have this muted. My dog keeps barking. Sorry. Yeah, I actually have 2 residents that refer me constantly. If they see me at the clubhouse, they'll tell me that they've given my name to a friend, someone that's looking to move into the community, out of the community, or just in the area.
And I see in the chat, Bridget says I have 5 that do that.
Yeah.
And as large and as small as the world is, when we were door knocking yesterday here in Virginia Beach, and I think we went for maybe an hour and 20 minutes, like the 5th or 6th person we spoke to, it's like, oh, it's so great that you're here. We had a great conversation, but they're like, you know, we actually have a Remax agent and she's awesome. We'd never work without her. I'm like, oh, that's great. I respect that. Oh yeah, it's Bridget.
Yeah.
That was crazy good. So, you know, double thumbs up to Bridget.
Yeah.
It's almost too scripted, Bridget, that happened. But anyway, it's great to see people who have that loyalty. And you know, I just want everybody to make a few little changes that can, you know, allow you to help more people, right? And it's not, you're making the changes not to put $60,000 in your pocket. It's to help more people, and then the money comes. Okay. And that's the crazy part of this business, is you have to think about, you know, how can I get the conversations that can help people? And then at the end of the day, you're like, wow, this was a pretty good year, right? I helped 37 people or 37 more people buy or sell a house this year. So during the process, this is something that I would like everybody to write down. You know, when do you think people are the happiest in the buying process?
Beginning and end.
So when they get under contract, right? That's a celebration moment, right? Hey, Dave, hey, Glenn, great news. You know, there were 11 offers on that property, wound up to get ours accepted. I'm so excited for you. Right? And that's how the call usually ends. My suggestion would be, hey, you know, can you think of 2 people that are looking to buy or sell or rent in the next 6 months that I can help? And I'm asking a specific number, you know, because I want them to think about it. You know, somebody would say, I can't think of 2, I know 3. Or somebody might say, I can't think of 2, I can only think of 1. And that's not too bad, is it? And then if you can say, hey, you know what? It would mean the world to me if you could do a text introduction to them and just tell them that you're so thrilled that you got your house offer accepted and you wanted to introduce them to me. Do you think that people would do that? I don't know. Alexa, are you able to talk? I see you're on. Maybe not.
Hey, Rob, I'll just interject right there for just a moment. I haven't implemented that idea, which is a fantastic one, and I'll definitely try to do that. But as soon as we go under contract, once we ratify, that's when I usually ask for a Google review. And I find that that's the most successful times that I get the Google review pretty much right away, because that's when they're the happiest. So adding that other part to it as well, I think would be a great idea.
Right. But and what's your thoughts, Justin, on saying, hey, you know, would you mind doing a text introduction? It would mean the world to me. Is that cheesy or salesy, or does that sound sincere?
I believe it when they're at their happiest, and I think that, yeah, I mean, I think that would definitely sound sincere, and obviously the best, but absolutely.
So put that in your repertoire. Now, when you're a buyer, when's another moment of euphoria? How about when they get their loan commitment, right? Could you do a little celebration call? Hey, Justin, congratulations. You know, we have the loan commitment in 4 days early. Or you might even you know, have the resources to say, hey, your appraisal came in 5,000 over ask, or it came in at ask or below ask. It doesn't matter. That can be another point that you can use to bring awareness to the fact that, you know, we like to work off of referrals, right? We want more people that we can help.
Hey, Rob, it's Maurice. On a side note, okay, you hear me. On a side note, if anybody talking about buyers, the down payment assistance program for New Jersey, I have a lender that I deal with that does that. Yesterday, they added another kind of qualification for it, which is if you were ever in the foster system, and that gives you an additional $7,000. So instead of the 10,000, you'll get a total of 17. Just wanted to let you guys know in case you deal with a lender who does that.
And that's through the New Jersey program, right?
Yeah. So it's not even two separate. It's not even two separate. Like, I asked my lender, I said, well, that 7,000, is that going to mean that the mortgage the mortgage company is going to have to go third? And they said, no, they'll include it into the first 10,000. So they'll still go second. Wow. And you don't even have to. So I was asking her, like, do you have to go, like DIFUS takes you, did you have to have going into a group home? And they said, no, it's even if a family member takes you from a family, as long as you get that check every month from the state that helps you take care of that person, then you technically are considered in the foster system.
That's a great suggestion, and appreciate you sharing that with us. Yeah. Hopefully we could have a few people benefit from that. Yeah. So I've got the blessing of hearing some of the great things that all of you do. And my mission is to share some of these ideas so that we don't have to have, 250,000 years of experience, which we probably have on these in our offices. And now we can take advantage of some of the best practices that everybody's doing. Okay. I see a lot of people maybe not enough, but a lot of us do the pop buys, where you go out of your way to drop something of value. Many of us will be doing this in the upcoming holidays for maybe Thanksgiving or, the holidays at the end of the year. I think it's to our advantage to learn how to ask for referral business, from the people that know and trust us. Okay, without feeling uncomfortable. Okay, having this statement saying, David, can you think of two people? Can you think of two people that might be able to help in the next 6 months?
Yeah, I actually have a pop by this afternoon for a few people at my Chamber of Commerce, and I am just thinking what I want to bring them. A lot of people just bring like munchkins from Dunkin' Donuts, but one of the things on what you were just talking about, I just thought of. I always, when we get a loan commitment, I do a video with my lender together if we're able to meet up, and we'll send a video to that buyer, and it makes their day. One of my last deals I got before that buyer's closing because they were so excited about the experience that they were having with me that was very different and unique for them than the last 3 or 4 homes they ever bought. So I think it's so easy to just do a video, and there's programs that you can edit on your phone and easily send them and say, you got it. We beat their offers. You're under contract. Congratulations. And people just like to feel connected. A lot of times during a transaction, I notice teams or team leaders, they often kind of go astray, or they're not as communicative as a buyer would like. And if you just show your face and you show you're available and around a little bit more, they'll think of you. And a lot of times, like Diana, who works on our team, she just closed 2 deals while her listing, one listing is still on the market because the sellers from Boca referred her clients over here on the West Coast. And those people were ready to go, ready, willing, and able, and she's already closed them. So even though their home is still on the market and they're not thrilled that the market's slowed down a little bit, they're so excited about what she's doing that the last agents haven't done for them, that they were ready to refer her, and she's already closed those buyers. So definitely the video thing and being present as much as possible during the transaction is important.
Yeah, and I actually, David, I very, very similar. When I drive by homes that I've sold, I don't necessarily stop. I'll do a video out in front and then send it to them. And maybe it's a slacker time saver, but every single one of them gets a reply. So it's very similar. Like that it works, and it takes 2 seconds because you're in front of the house and you're not interfering with their life, but they love it.
But 99% of other agents would never take just that one moment to do that video their home, video themselves, and send it. So you're that much ahead of everybody else. And that's the difference, right? We're just trying to stand out and be ourselves, unique, but just, it's not really that difficult. It's just doing it consistently.
Yeah. And Rob, I'm holding up somewhere here. You can see
the Morris Agent dog biscuit, huh?
My wife was kind enough to get these, and I'm carrying them in the car now. And I stop by houses for all the people that I know have purchased with dogs.
You know what? That would be good to have in your little bag when you go door knocking, because so many houses have dogs.
Yep.
So just FYI. As I'm listening to some of these great ideas that your peers have, it occurs to me that, we would be so much more effective, okay, if we spent a lot less time chasing and a lot more time, talking to the people who have the ability to give us higher level referrals and better quality business, right? Internet lead, or Justin, you do a lot of leads on Sync. Justin, how many leads do you have in Sync, by the way?
Oh, man.
About 26,000.
26,000 leads. Now, a lot of those leads you're going to chase a long time because they don't know who you are, right? And they're going to be dodging you and not getting back to you. But you have a abundance. You have a better quality lead, a lesser effort to capture that lead right under your nose. And I suggest that, you need to have a balance where you're getting some of these consistent business from people who are referring you and willing to send that text message saying that, you know, Justin helped me find my house, you know, in the most difficult market, you know, when you're ready, give him a call, and doing that text intro. Like that's going to be a game. And when people put down the experience they had in a text and give you the ability to piggyback off of that, game changer, team, total game changer.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I have no problem being in front of with clients. I go to birthday parties, weddings, and all these different events. But I always had had troubles asking for that business. I didn't want to seem like I was not authentic about it. And it wasn't until the last like 6-7 months that I really focused on that, and it has made a big difference. I'm the president of the PTA here at my local elementary school. The first year I was president, I didn't talk about my business, wasn't wearing my name tag. I felt like I didn't want to solicit and make it seem like it was not authentic. And then the very first time I wore that name tag, the second year I was the president, I had a potential listing in February and a guy that wants to use his VA loan. So it's just like, just got to put it out there.
So, and I think, Justin, you and Edward probably picked up on this, but the tonality and the body language was more important than the words.
Always. Yeah, absolutely.
Right. And I'm going to repeat that, you know, when you're communicating, even if it's over the phone, you might say, well, body language, well, the posture, the way that you stand impacts the inflection of the way you speak. Okay. And, you know, Jay, thank you for the kind compliments of being the lead whisperer, but I'm just a student of communication and figuring out how can I get people to judge me for what value I present as opposed to being another annoying sales call. Okay. And that's basically the way that we, you know, communicate the tonality and, you know, Justin, his pace was too fast. You know, he was excited. And when your pace is too fast, the balance is off and it doesn't, you're not going to optimize the results. And, Justin, do you see that now? Like in terms of how the pace and talking quicker and slowing it down from 70 miles an hour to 45, you know, helps you to have better conversations?
I will admit this is something that I've been dealing with for many years. Before I got into real estate, I had a telecommunication background, and it's been something that I've been working on for quite some time. And so I have to constantly remind myself as I'm doing it that, you know, I'm just trying to get it out as quickly as possible before they hang up the phone. Well, that's counter.
Yep. And sometimes, like we talked about the importance of the dramatic pause, right, Justin?
Oh, yeah.
Like that little awkward moment and using that to our advantage. So, you know, we have such a tremendous opportunity. You know, there would be no Zillow if everybody kept in touch with their sphere. There would be no need to capture leads because everybody knows like 27 real estate professionals, right? But we're just not doing a great job at keeping in touch as an industry. And, you know, nobody's 1,000% completely bad. Nobody's 1,000% completely good. We all have a spectrum that we can improve upon. And, you know, I think if we just, you know, take the stigma of it being a sales call and just turn it into a conversation with people that we want to serve and we enjoy, we work with friends, family, clients, you know, those emotions are all positive, right? But when we think about making a call, we might be disturbing them during their dinner time, or, you know, we superimpose our what's the right word? Our disdain for these valueless telemarketing calls. It impacts our ability to deliver valuable calls to the people that need to hear from us. Right?
Yep.
You know, when you have good phone
show. So the girls are coming here? Yeah.
When you have good conversations, you know, it inspires you to make more calls. When you have bad conversations, we're only human, it demotivates us, right?
Okay.
So to the point that we can better control the pace, the direction of the calls. We're going to control the outcome, and we're also going to have it become more consistent. We have 6 minutes left. Does anybody have any, crazy good success stories or questions that you have?
Well, one thing you were mentioning earlier was about, business cards and such. And I actually, the only thing I use them for is leaving them at listings. I think that they become a crutch for your lack of ability to get information from the client effectively. So it's easy to give a business card and feel like you had progress, but if you don't have their number, you just made a contact that's never coming back, right? So I think that it's age specific is one thing, right? So I am not giving a millennial or younger a business card because they're going to look at me like I've given them a check, right? They just don't do those things. But it may be appropriate if you're dealing with a downsizer to do that. But I can't go in and say I mark it digitally and I just handed you a paper business card. Like they're contrary to each other, right? So I just think you have to know your audience. But I think that the most of the applicability of the business card, it comes back from that corporate life of I give you this and I feel like I did something, or I presented it to you and I'm official. But it becomes almost a crutch to not relate and not get the business and say to them, hey, I never lose track of you if I get you in my phone. Can I do that right now? It's that type of thing.
And Glenn, how many times do you in non-real estate life, you get a business card and then you just throw it in the drawer or you just throw it away?
Yep, absolutely. I can't remember the last time I used a business card to refer to anybody. And I'm not talking 5 years, I'm talking 10, 15 years. And if I'm doing that, I make the assumption everyone else is.
Glenn, what do you think about the idea? You're definitely a lot more high-tech video. What do you think of the text introduction with somebody on copy? Can you embrace that and use it, or do you think that's?
I do it. I don't demand it of. So like if I ever introduce someone to attorney, I said, I'm going to text you both right now. And I always take out my phone and go, I'm doing this with you. Like I make sure that they know I'm not answering another text message. And I'll say, I'm going to text you both right now if that's okay to make the introduction. I do that on the spot. I don't necessarily get that back often. But I like the idea of it. I just haven't put it into operation that way.
Yeah, and if somebody does a group text intro, maybe you can even get in the habit of giving them a $5 Dunkin' Donuts or a Starbucks card. Not that that's going to make them do the introduction, right? They're not going to do that for a nominal gift card, but it's a way of just saying thank you, right? Because we appreciate when people go out of their way to identify the service we did, right? And if you gave them a $500 gift card to Home Depot, I consider that to be bribery. But if you gave them a nominal gift to, you Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks, right? You gave them that card, something like that would be, in my opinion, of value.
Yeah, and I agree, Rob. So even any referral that comes my way, they get a personal note, handwritten personal note with a Dunkin' card in it. And I don't care if it's an agent, I don't care who it is. They're all getting something back to say thank you. And it's always, I appreciate you, so good, like can't wait to have this coffee with you, something like that. But I think that some of that comes down to systematizing. I know that, I think if I was doing like 15 transactions, I'd say to myself, well, I don't have time to do that, right? Like I don't have, but close dates, birth dates, those are absolutely necessary things. You can't look at them like they're optional. They have to be a part of your job, right? And if you're not capturing those or looking those up and doing that homework, you're missing an opportunity to talk to people. And at the most important times, I'm not a birthday guy. I don't like birthdays because it means I'm 1 year older. I don't love them, right? But when people reach out to me, I really do appreciate it, even though I don't love them, right? So I think you have to look at it like it's your job. It's part of the client experience, part of what you'd have to do. And if it's optional, you're going to lose track of them.
Yep. But, people appreciate the fact that you recognize that they did something to help you.
Yeah.
So just before we head off, I want to just because it's about to be Halloween, something that's worked for me the last couple of years on the West Coast was, as kids are trick-or-treating, I would create little cellophane bags full of unique candies, things that none of the homeowners in the area are going to give out, and then put my business card and introduce myself to our neighbors in a totally different light than just door knocking during the day at a different hour. Going out and I've been invited into multiple people's Halloween parties, gotten to know neighbors on a much deeper level. And I think it's a much softer pitch. And then I've gotten multiple clients in the last couple of years that way. So definitely.
Hey, Rob.
Yes.
Hey, look, I have something to throw out there. I didn't realize it was such a big number. I always knew it's better, obviously, to own than to rent because you're wasting money on rent. But I'm meeting with somebody this afternoon. I've been complaining about the rates. And I just wrote something on paper this morning. I just thought about it. So, for example, $500,000 loan at a 7.5% rate, which they are today, just P&I is $3,500. A $500,000 loan at 4.5% rate, which most people are waiting for rates to go down to that, which they'll be waiting years, is $2,535. The difference is almost $1,000. So you're looking at basically it's costing you $12,000 more to own that house than it would be at a 4.5% to 7.5%. But if they're renting, this is for first-time buyers. If they're renting, your average rent is $2,750 roughly. That's $33,000 a year. So I knew it was a big difference, but not like this. So for somebody to wait for a lower rate because it's 7.5 now, they're blowing $33,000 a year on rent, where they're only paying $11,000, $12,000 more for the higher rate. And on top of that, there's tax write-offs and everything else. So it's still a better deal to buy something at a high rate than wait for the lower rate because you're pissing all that money away. When you put it on paper, put it in front of them. Because I just did it this morning. I just never realized it was so drastic. That's it.
So Robert, one of the things I would say is, the rates are what the rates are, right? And I just love the conversation of, Robert, if you waited and in 3 years from now, rates are at 12%, what are you going to do in 3 years?
Yeah, you could do both. If they still don't like what I brought up, I can do that as well. Yes.
No, but yeah, I think that you can, you can share both of those strategies. But to me, there's nobody on this phone call that can guarantee me rates in 6 months, 12 months, or 36 months are going to be lower than they are today. Okay, nobody knows. Okay, so if rates do go up to 12% and you bought now at 7.5%, Robert, how would your client feel if they did that?
Oh, terrible, obviously.
Well, no, if rates went up to 12,
no,
and
if they waited for them to go to 12%, they would feel terrible. No, if they did it now, they're going to, right. I see what you're saying.
Right.
No, I
So,
agree with you.
so if they bought now and rates went up, they would feel great that they bought in today's market, correct?
Correct.
And now, Robert, what would happen if you bought today at 7.5 and rates went back down to 4.5?
Refinance.
Just refinance.
You'd refinance. And Robert, if you waited to buy until rates went down to 4.5, do you think there would be more competition to buy that house or less?
If rates went down, it would be
Yeah.
more competition.
And do you think that might mean you'd have to pay more for the house if the rates went down?
Correct. Yes.
All right. So what, if you have them answer those questions without telling them, I think that their subconscious is going to tell them it's stupid not to buy.
No, I agree.
Right? So telling them, and the pivot here, Robert, is saying, if I go in and say, look, when rates drop, there's going to be more competition, you're going to pay more, intuitively is the same as asking the question and you telling me. But in terms of how it gets processed, it's a world of difference, right? You say, I was just thinking, Robert, if rates drop, you think there'll be more or less buyers? More. Hey, Robert, if there are more buyers, you think you'll have to pay more or less for the next house? More. If rates go up to 12% and you bought now, how would you feel? And if rates went down to 4.5 and you bought, how would you feel? What would you do? Oh, you'd refinance. Oh, great. I think that they've just closed themselves with those questions, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to leave you with those questions that you could ask. If anybody has anything else, you could stay on. Everybody have a great weekend. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your time and participation. Thanks.
Thanks, Rob.
Thank you.
Bye. Anybody?
Thanks, Rob.
Anybody, any questions before we drop? Hey, Bridget.
Thank you, Rob.
Love your little guy there. Bye, guys.
Take care now.